Hello and welcome everyone on this official platform of Legacy IAS Academy. So today in this session I am going to discuss one of the most important issue with respect to the rules for contesting the elections in India. As we all know that recently Rahul Gandhi mentioned that he is going to contest from Rai Bareli, UP, clear, after second phase of election. Now, already he contested election from Kerala Wayanad constituency. Now after that he also announced that he is going to contest from Rai Bareli. That means he is contesting from two constituencies. Now whether Indian constitution or our laws allows a candidate to fight or to contest election from two constituencies. So in this session we are going to understand what are the rules for contesting the elections in India. So there was a wonderful article with respect to this rules for contesting election in the Hindu newspaper. Now the title was what are the rules on contesting seats, clear? So various provisions and various facts are given in this article, clear? So the main context here is, or the background here is that recently the question is around when with respect to dual candidature arose when a Congress leader, that is Rahul Gandhi, filed his nomination form from UP after contesting from Kerala. In Kerala, which constituency? That is Wayanad. Clear? In the second phase of 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Clear? So, in this article, basically in this article we are going to understand three things. First of all, background. So, background is when Rahul Gandhi announced for this nomination from UP. Second thing is we are going to understand Representation of People Act 1951. Now in this act we are going to understand the provisions or the rules for contesting elections, and then we are going to understand other criterias for contesting elections. So three things we should understand. So in this article or in this video we are going to understand three things. First, you should know the background. Second, RPA Act 1951. In this, we need to understand provisions with respect to contesting election. And third, other criteria like age, eligibility for contesting elections in India. So these things we are going to understand. Now what is the background? That recently Rahul Gandhi, a Congress leader, announced that he would contest from Rai Bareli, UP. Now whether our constitution permits, now we need to understand this thing. So first of all, now, what is the legal provisions? So, legal provision with respect to contesting election is Representation of People Act 1951. Now, let me tell you, this is the legal provision. But if you go through the original provision did not had any bar on the number of constituencies. Original provision में ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था. Candidate कितनी भी constituency से लड़ सकता था. Clear? So original provision did not had any bar on the number of constituencies from which candidate could contest. Clear? But 1996 there was amendment to Representation of People Act. Now this Representation of People Act says that now a candidate is permitted to contest an election up to two constituencies, maximum two constituencies. So this amendment came in 1996 which says that candidate can contest election up to 2 constituencies. Now, अब अगर कैंडिडेट दोनों ही कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी से जीत गया, देन सो दिस आरपीए एक्ट ऑल्सो मेंशंस, सो इन दिस restrictions on holding seats, so according to section 70 of RPA Act, अब ये भी कहता है a candidate can hold only one seat if he is able to win both the seat. उसको क्या करना है, एक ही सीट होल्ड करनी है. क्लियर? he or she can hold only one seat at a time if elected from both the seats. That means he has to vacate one seat. अब अगर वो वैकेट करेगा वन सीट तो वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी खाली हो जाएगी, देन बाय इलेक्शन विल टेक प्लेस. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? दैट इज व्हाई आर्टिकल नाउ दिस सेक्शन 70 ऑफ आरपीए एक्ट मेंशंस अ कैंडिडेट कैन होल्ड ओनली वन सीट एट अ टाइम regardless whether he or she has been elected from more than one constituency. Clear? So what is the challenge? So if candidate wins from 2 seats, then he has to vacate one seat, then by election is necessary from the seat he or she vacates. Clear? Remember this thing. Getting my point? Now, so this is the most important thing that we need to understand with respect to election. Now, इसीलिए इलेक्शन कमीशन एंड लॉ कमीशन ने रिकमेंडेशन दिया. Now, because of this, Election Commission of India and Law Commission. Now, Election Commission of India and Law Commission, they have proposed that RPA Act should be amended. अब amendment क्या होना चाहिए? Now, they have proposed that RPA Act should be amended. So let me tell you. Election Commission of India and Law Commission. So they proposed that RPA should be amended. Amended in the sense that means a candidate should be allowed to contest only from one seat. Clear? ये इनकी recommendation है. That candidate should be allowed only to contest from one seat, because if he wins both the seats, he has to vacate one. Then again by election. Getting my point? That is why they mentioned that candidate should be allowed to contest from one seat. तो अभी तक ये वाला amendment नहीं हुआ है. So in 1996, RPA Act 1951 got amended, which mentions that candidate can contest election up to 2 constituencies. Clear? Remember this thing. Now, apart from this, now try to understand. Now, representation of People's Act. Now let me tell you that our constitution, now Indian constitution allows parliament to make laws with respect to Lok Sabha election, that means parliament election and state election. तो स्टेट इलेक्शन एंड पार्लियामेंट के इलेक्शन पर लॉज कौन बना सकता है? ओनली पार्लियामेंट. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? सो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हैज गिवन पावर दिस टू मेक लॉज फॉर पार्लियामेंट एंड स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर इलेक्शन इन द हैंड्स ऑफ पार्लियामेंट. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? दैट इज व्हाई पार्लियामेंट हैज इनेक्टेड 3 इंपॉर्टेंट लॉज. दैट इज व्हाई पार्लियामेंट हैज इनेक्टेड 3 इंपॉर्टेंट लॉज. Now 3 important laws: RPA Act 1950, RPA Act 1951 and Delimitation Commission. Delimitation Commission of 1952. So these laws were created by Parliament. Getting my point? So this RPA Act 1951, now try to understand. RPA Act 1951 deals with the qualifications and disqualification of people's representative. तो RPA Act किससे डील करता है? So it deals with the qualification and disqualification of people's representatives. Getting my point? It deals with qualification and disqualification of people's representative. That is why this act, RP Act 1951, mentions section 33 subclause 7. Now, this section 33 subclause 7 of Representation of People Act 1951, it allows a person to contest election up to 2 constituencies at the same time. तो ये जो section है, this got amended in 1996 and this section 33 subclause 7 was added, and in this it is mentioned that a candidate can contest election up to 2 constituencies at the same time. Clear? On the other hand, the section 70 of RPA Act, section 70 of RPA Act 1951 also mentions that, however, if a person is elected or if a person wins both the constituencies but he is allowed to hold only 1 seat, that means he has to vacate 1 seat. Getting my point? Remember this thing. So prior to 1996, there was no bar or no restrictions on number of constituencies. Clear? Remember this thing. So now the question here is, does the contestant have to be a voter in a particular state to contest election? So now we will try to understand this also. So first of all, we'll try to understand eligibility to contest elections in India. Now, so what is the eligibility to contest election in India? First of all, candidate must be a citizen of India. Candidate must be registered in the constituency as a valid voter. Then candidate must not have been convicted any punishable offense और उसको 2 साल से ज्यादा सजा ना हुई हो. So candidate must not have been convicted for any offense punishable by more than 2 years. And there is no minimum educational qualification needed to contest general elections in India. Clear? Now what is the minimum age? The minimum age for Lok Sabha and state assemblies 25 and minimum age for Rajya Sabha and legislative councils in state 30. Getting my point? Now geographical eligibility. Now the same question that I have asked, that does the contester have to be a voter in a particular state to contest election? So let me tell you that a person has to be a voter in particular state to contest state assembly polls from there. अगर आपको यूपी का लड़ना है इलेक्शन, so you have to be a member or you have to be a registered voter from UP. Getting my point? So a person has to be a voter in a particular state to contest state assembly polls from there. But for Lok Sabha, a person can be registered as a voter in any constituency of the country. Remember this thing. A person can be registered as a voter in any constituency of the country for Lok Sabha election, except 3 states, Lakshadweep, Assam and Sikkim. अब आप देख सकते हैं exception for contesting in Assam, Lakshadweep and Sikkim in Lok Sabha election. For in these 3 states for Lok Sabha election, candidate needs to be a registered voter. In these particular state, अगर आसाम से लड़ना है तो you have to be a registered voter from Assam. If you want to contest election from Sikkim, so then you have to be a registered voter from Sikkim. Same for Lakshadweep. Getting my point? But for other state, there is no such rule. That means for Lok Sabha election, a candidate, a person can be registered as voter in any constituency of the country. That is why our Prime Minister Modi, he contests election from Varanasi, Rahul Gandhi from Wayanad, now Raebareli also 2 constituencies. Getting my point? So this is the criteria. Clear? Now, what are the measures taken by Election Commission of India with respect to election funding? So before discussing this, first we will see disqualification. अब disqualification क्या कहती है? What are the grounds for disqualification? As our constitution mentions that a person shall be disqualified from being chosen or being a member of either of the house if he holds any office of profit under Government of India or any state. Second dimension of disqualification is if he or she is of unsound mind, or this is declared by a competent court of our country, or if that person is an undischarged insolvent, then also he will be disqualified. Clear? Then another thing, if he or she is not a citizen of India, or जब election लड़ा था तब तो citizen था, then voluntarily he acquired a citizenship of any other country, then also he will be disqualified. So if he or she are not citizen of India or has voluntarily acquired the citizenship of foreign state. Getting my point? So Representation of People Act mentions, now RP Act क्या mention करता है? Just now we discussed that if a person is convicted for any offense and sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years or more, then this will lead to his disqualification to contest election. Getting my point? So these are the dimensions for disqualification. Now what are the measures taken by Election Commission of India with respect to election funding? Now Election Commission of India has amended the rules for political party funding during elections. So Election Commission of India ने क्या किया? Amended the rules for political party funding during election. Now, what was the first rule that they have made? Now, new rules says that, now new rules include that decreasing the cash donation limit from rupees 20,000 to 2,000. Getting my point? So decreasing the cash donation limit from 20,000 to rupees 2,000. Getting my point? Now, apart from this, for 2024 Lok Sabha election, Election Commission of India also banned cash transportation in bank vehicles after sunset. Getting my point? So this year, that is for 2024 elections, Election Commission of India has banned cash transportation in bank vehicles after sunset. Getting my point? This is another most important rule framed by Election Commission of India. Getting my point? Clear? Remember this thing. Now, apart from these rules and regulations, the Election Commission of India is also monitoring non-scheduled chartered flights for cash, liquor and drug movement. Getting my point? So another important thing, Election Commission of India also monitoring non-scheduled charter flights for cash, drug, liquor movements. This much is clear to all of you. And the most important decision was taken by Supreme Court in 2024. Now what was that decision? That electoral bond scheme was scrapped by Supreme Court this year, because electoral bond scheme, which was initiated in January 2018, which allowed anonymous contribution to limit the use of cash. Clear? And it was scrapped by Supreme Court in 2024. So this is all about with respect to the rules for contesting the elections in India and the reforms and rules and regulations made by Election Commission and Supreme Court this year for 2024 Lok Sabha elections. So I hope this much is clear to all of you. Thank you. Thank you so much.